all the boats before the surge hit, and as we were finishing up, our first surge came through. And, it didn't seem like it was really bad right at first, but then when the water started to suck out, it was dropping probably 2 feet a second. And at that time, we realized we better get off the dock, so we just ran basically off the dock, me and another friend. And by that time, you could already hear, the dock starting to break apart. And we got up to the high ground, and I just literally had to sit there and watch my boat get sucked into other boats and then get tipped upside down and basically just sunk with all my personal belongings, and it actually lived on my boat. And so yeah, this has been a very tragic event for me.
We're so sorry to hear that. So where is your boat right now?
My boat currently is in the front part of the harbor. My boat was moored in the back harbor. It had, once it had broken free and started to sink, it got pushed all the way up to the mouth of the harbor and wedged against the jetty out there, and then it got sucked back into the harbor, and they finally were able to pull it to a dock and tie it off. So, but it's a total loss.
How did your boat break loose? Did the cleats break off, or?
No, the whole entire dock broke into pieces. Just basically disintegrated in front of us, our very clear eyes.
And how many boats went away on that dock with your boat?
I'd say about 15 or 20 boats broke loose. They've been able to contain a few of them, but there's still a few more that are just kind of floating around and wedged between other boats.
And Jerry, you live out on your boat by yourself?
Yeah. Actually, me and my dog stay on the boat, and unfortunately, we don't have a place to stay anymore.
So, well, and you knew this morning that was a bad idea to stay on the boat, so you were already getting ready to go.
Yeah, we heard about it last night, and we started making preparations last night for the most part, and getting ready for it. But we've had a couple come through here before, and they weren't quite as bad as this. This was pretty bad. This was the largest I've seen come through.
Oh, sorry to hear about your loss, Jerry. We're glad to hear that you're okay, though, as we see the damage here from Santa Cruz. We also want to let you know, just crossing the wires, more information where similar damages is being reported right now in Crescent City. We're getting reports here that all the docks are destroyed in Crescent City. Most of the boats left the harbor, but 35 vessels remained, and they are all crashing into each other and sinking this morning. So it seems the shape of these two harbors in Crescent City and here in Santa Cruz really feeling the impact from that small tsunami wave that came in and amplified and just causing and devastating both of these harbors.
And that's what I was going to ask you, actually. We were waiting for a tsunami, a wave generated by the tsunami, right, in Japan. But this is not tsunami waves. This is a surge. So you would call this a storm surge, right? What's happening?
Yeah, it's a tsunami surge in and out, and I'm really starting to wonder if the actual physics, the physical layout of both these harbors play into it, because you have a surge of water coming through a very small opening. Through the break wall. There's an opening in the break wall where the boats go in and out. All that water comes in, and then it has to flow out very quickly just through that one small opening. And I wonder if there may be a bit of a pendulum of effect going in and out, especially when we hear that there's 6 times that we've seen the water surge in and then surge back out, with reports that it was the third surge that was the strongest. And it's the shape of these harbors. Remember back in 1964, there was a major earthquake in Alaska, and Crescent City was devastated. 11 people were killed. The town destroyed right near the water. So Crescent City was the one harbor that was really prepared, with their boats just deciding to leave that harbor and better be out to sea. I don't know that many people were expecting this kind of damage in Santa Cruz.
But you're talking about like a bathtub, right? The water sloshing back and forth within these harbors like a bathtub, making its own wave on the way back too.
Exactly,
right?
On the way out, as it surges back out, it kind of pushes its way back in with a suction effect. So we're going to keep watching here as we see the live footage, just boat after boat. And the harbor master, we watch him try to go around to try and at least secure these boats and tie them down. But with the surge of water, it's been really difficult. As you look on the left-hand side, you see some of the maneuvers from the harbor master trying to stop these boats from smashing into each other as they've been flowing about 10 to 15 miles per hour.
And really, that was the first account that we just heard of the number of boats. I think it's way greater than the authorities had said. Is this from this one man who actually owned one of the boats, who the whole dock went away, and he thought there were a good 15 or more boats that went with it, like his, completely destroyed, and and just going in and hitting other boats. George?
We also caught a report from the California Highway Patrol. They were apprised by the Coast Guard that the only places where there was coastline damage reported was in Crescent City and Santa Cruz. And U.S. Highway 101 in Crescent City has been shut down from a mile north to a mile south of the city. And it was actually part of another report that they were providing about the congestion on 152 near Mount Madonna Road. But the CHP had been apprised by the Coast Guard of coastline damage in both of those locations.
Now, Crescent City has a 20-foot break wall right at the end of the harbor, and we've heard that it has not gone over that break wall, but we are hearing that a similar situation that we're seeing in Santa Cruz has happened in Crescent City with the docks smashed and the 35 boats that did remain in the harbor smashing into each other right now.
All right, now we want to go live to Crown 4's Daniel Villarreal. He's in Pacifica to see if there's any damage or any sign of the tsunami there. Daniel?
Well, no damage visible out here. In fact, things have been relatively calm. But we are seeing those surges out here. And what I mean by that, this actually might be one right now. Things have been very, very calm. And then you see waves this big just come crashing through. A set of them will come through. And they're really impressive. And the water line will come very close to me. And but then afterwards, it'll calm down and the water line will recede back a ways, and then a few moments will go by and we'll start getting these bigger waves and the water line will come closer to me. So we're definitely seeing something, maybe a less intense but definitely more frequent surges out here in Pacifica.
But Daniel, on a high tide, you would see those waves crashing right up to where you are and right against the wall. So you're not seeing it approach high tide levels.
Well, no, I'm not seeing high tide, but you can see these waves that are crashing under this pier. They're hitting the bottom, and sometimes you only see that when there's a big storm coming through here or during high tide. So they're getting some impressive size waves out here, considering that it's low tide, and when things calm down, the waves are very small. So you're either getting really small waves or really big ones out here.
And this is what we talked about is thank goodness it is low tide when this is all happening, because we're seeing things rise to maybe the level of high tide right now when they shouldn't be. So there's Daniel Villarreal with the perspective on Pacifica. But on the right, what we're really keeping our eye on is just the mess of splintered dock and boats that are upturned and upside down in Santa Cruz.
And even places that we haven't had problems on the water, we've had problems with traffic on the roadways surrounding and near the coast. George Rask has been watching that through the morning.
And indeed, in Santa Cruz, a lot of folks have asked if they could get down to their boats. Emergency responders saying no, and that's because there are still a number of street closures around the wharf and the docks in Santa Cruz. Beach Street at Indy Wharf, Riverside at 3rd, Laurel at 3rd, and Pacific Avenue at Center Street all shut down. And Highway 17, which had been a real problem spot here, let's back the map up just a bit. 17 leading up to the summit was an evacuation route. It really is no longer, so that's not so much of an issue. Still an issue, though, is here, 152, heading toward Gilroy and out of Watsonville. The CHP still dealing with a number of cars that are blocking roads, blocking driveways, as that was a very popular evacuation route. And earlier this morning, it was also a big problem on Highway 92, and while 92 is no longer a problem, we do still have a number of vehicles parked on 35 in the vicinity of Highway 92. And as mentioned a few minutes earlier, near Crescent City, U.S. Highway 101 is shut down in both directions, a mile north to a mile south of Crescent City. We'll take a quick break on the Cron 4 Morning News. We'll be back with our continuing coverage of the tsunami impact in California when we return.